Today we've got Paul's 356 in. It's not in for anything massive, but it is in for a massive improvement. We're changing the tailpipes from a twin to a single to fill this hole. A lot like the original did when it came out of the factory in the 1950s. I think it's a 1950. When he made these tailpipes, he goes, you're going to laugh when you take them off, because he made a massive bush that goes over the original, because they're pea shooters from factory. So it's got like a 4 or 5 mil thick spacer in there. Right, I need a measure of what size hole we've got and then try and make something to fit with very, very, very little room to do it. So really I want a 6 by 4. I could work with that. I'm going to have to molest the death out of it. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and attach these tacks, take this plate off and shorten all the insides so it all goes back. And then what I can do is I can make the bits that come out and sleeve over these bits to clamp it on. The one I've just cut straight, put that round there like that, draw around it because the tip can be an inch shorter. Then what I'll do is I'll hand cut it and that will take the tack away and hopefully the inside comes out. It's going to look something like that. So I'm going to deconstruct this so I can use this shape and then I'll make 2 sleeves that go over the back box. That way it can be clamped on, clamped off. So I've got to work out how to get it back in there, but shorter. So I'm going to have to cut a good 2 inches out the middle of this and stick it back together. Just setting my welder back up from aluminium to stainless. Shall we see if this fits back in the tailpipe? Like a glove. What I need to do now is open them up whilst they're in there. So a bit of 2-inch tube fits inside it. And slide it all the way home. We need a bit of 2-inch tube to fit in that hole. I'm going to do this really slowly because I don't have a chance to mess this up. So using the pipe stretcher, we've now opened this up so a 2-inch tube now fits in the end perfectly so we can make our slip joints for the back box. So one of the issues we're going to have by putting this tailpipe on this car is the offset of this tip is different to the offset that comes out this box. So what we need to do is we need to calculate the difference and then make some adapters. So what we need to do is we need to work out the centers, and the easiest thing to do is measure from the edge of the tube to the edge of the tube, which is 81 mil. So we know that the box is 81. We now need to measure the outsides of the tips. So we'll go from the outside of that hole to the outside of that hole, which is near as makes no difference, 61. So we've got a 20 mil difference. I've done a really basic drawing of what we've got to do. So the non-shaded outers are the silencer and the shaded inners are of the tip. So what we need to do is we need to bring, using these clever mandrel bends, we're going to have to cut these back at an angle to rotate this bit round to bring us in by 10 mil per side. The difference in the tip and the box is 20 mil. So divide that by 2 and it allows us 10 mil a side, and that should bring the tip to fit the car. So 18. We had a bloke come round once and he was buying any old tape measures. This was a fair few years ago. And We asked him what he does with them, and he goes, oh, I'll show you. I went to the van, and you know those snap bands that you put on your wrists? He'd cut them into 12-inch lengths, and he'd make fabric around the outside with like kids' names and stuff on. And the thing inside a snap band is a tape measure. Did you know that? T-clamp. Now we've cut it in half, what we need to do is we need to measure from the centre to the centre of that one, work out what it's brought it over by, and then what we'll do is we'll reduce these angles, which will bring this back in line. The fewer angle you have, the less the centre and centre is going to be off, so it'll virtually be a straight tube with two tiny little bends in it. And hopefully that's enough just to kick it over by the 10mm that we need. So using very basic tools, that's 3mm, which is 30mm, which is where I thought it would be. So because we've centred a 1D bend, the maths of a 1D bend would have brung that over by half the distance of that tube. So we know that we've got to try and take somehow, we've got to try and lose 20mm out of what we've done. Less angle. I'm going to do a pair of them together, so I don't have to keep setting the tool up every time I cut it. So cutting the 1D bends in half, what we've realised is putting the two together brung it over by 30mm. So we've worked out that reducing this angle down to 30 degrees is going to bring us to that 10mm gap that we need. So we're going to have to make a little tool so we can cut all four the same, because we need 4 halves. So what I've done is I've made this little horse up thing where this pipe's going to bolt into like that. And when we put it down the saw, it's going to reduce this 45-degree bend into a 30-degree bend. So we'll run it off a straight bit of tube and measure, and it is exactly 10mm. Don't know if you can see it in that, but you can see the reducing the angles brought the tube more centre. We have an exact 10mm offset, where this one on the right is actually 30mm. Right, make sure they're all the same. Perfect. Clean them up and weld them up. Now these 4 bends are tacked together and they're back to back, what we can do is we can measure the gap between them and we can see that it's exactly 20mm. That was bloody good guessing. Go. Just like that. Tap her home to roughly where it's going to sit. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll tack it in place where we want it. Otherwise I'm going to move it at all sorts of angles. Isn't it funny, something as simple as just a tailpipe change, so much goes into doing it. Like, it isn't just a matter of bolting a tip on. Now the tip's fitted to the car, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack it along the sides and where I can reach inside, take it off before fully welding it up, putting it on for its final time. Fingers crossed it slides off. Did you see that? Right, just going to get a couple of welds on the inside, lock it all into place, cut some slits and it can go back on. Going to fit these much more modern exhaust clamps, way more modern than the big old U-bolts you used to get. been an absolute pleasure working on this car, and it's even more of a pleasure being trusted to work on cars like this. So I thank everyone for watching this video.